Hi, this is Carl from Web Courses Bangkok, and this is lesson 3 of the Photoshop Basics course. Today we're going to be looking at paintbrushes, and with paintbrushes we're going to be able to see the different types of brushes that you can use, as well as installing some new brushes so you can do some really nice effects on your designs. So, let's get started. To start, you need to find your files for the Photoshop Basic lessons. These will be in your week 1 folder, then in files, and then Photoshop Basic Lessons, and you'll see all the lessons have a PSD file for each of them. So just go ahead and open up the lesson 3 and you should see something like this. Now what we're going to be doing is working on the right hand side. On the left hand side you have the example of what we're going to be creating. Now just a quick thing about this file is that you'll see a frame uneditable here. Now that contains all the information that you need to complete the project. This information is actually locked, so you don't need to be able to change it. So if you ever click and you see this message coming up here, don't worry, just click OK, because it means that these layers here, again layers are going to be something that we cover later in the course, are uneditable. So what we're going to be working from on this lesson 3 is a layer called Right. So if you just click on that one, we'll then be able to get started. So first of all we need to select the paintbrush tool. That's on the left hand side here, and if I leave my mouse there you can see that the shortcut key is B. So you can either click the toolbar or you can press B on your keyboard. Lastly, I just want to check that we've got the same colors. Now please can you click on here just to click on the default foreground and background, because I would like to use black and white as our foreground and background colors just for now. You can always change those colors later. Next, check that you're on the right layer, which is the right layer on the right hand side, and just click that so it goes blue and highlights. Next thing we need to do is just check we've got the right settings for our paintbrush. The way we do that is you right click inside the canvas. Now I'd like you to use the same settings as me, so the size should be 20 pixels and the hardness should be 100. Okay, if you want to get rid of this dialog box here, just click outside of the canvas. Try not to click in on the canvas here, otherwise you'll put a little paint blob. So we're just going to copy the wavy line same as on the left hand side, so I'm just going to click and hold and move that off like that. Now I can make more lines, and if I want to get rid of these lines or go back on any mistakes that I've made, just go to Edit and then Step Backwards, and you can keep going backwards until you've got back to exactly what you want. For those of you who like using shortcuts, and I highly recommend you do, go to Edit and you'll see that the shortcut for Step Backwards is Alt, Control and Z. Now if you're using a Mac, that's Alt, Command and Z. So if you just use it with your left hand, you can use it with your middle 3 fingers, and it's a quick way of going back and going over what you've done. Next we're going to change the size of the brush just by again right clicking, and then I can change the size all the way up to say around about 50. Okay. And you can select them from here as well. This one here is 50 pixels, so you can quickly select it as well. Later we'll be looking at the different brushes that are available, but for now I'd like you to use a size of 50 and a hardness again of 100. So I'm just going to click outside my canvas to get rid of the dialog box, and then I can quickly do the same type of design. So the next thing is I would like to show you how to change the hardness of the brush. Now if you imagine it like a real paintbrush, if it's softer you'll get a more fuzzy edge around it. That's always nice if you're doing things like retouching. So I'm going to again right click, and this time I'm going to bring the hardness down to around about 50%. Click outside of the dialog box and then you can see the difference. you can move it down even further, down to say maybe 0%, and you can see a real difference in how hard the actual brush is. Again, I just want to get rid of that, so I'm going to do Edit and Step Backwards. Great, so now we're ready for a custom brush. So next we have custom brushes. Custom brushes are really good fun, and you can actually download a lot more, which we'll look at later. For this custom brush, I'd like to make some grass, a grass effect like we have on the left hand side. So first of all, I need to select two colors. Right now I've got black as my foreground, but I'd like to choose green as my background. So if I just click on the background, I can bring up the color picker. Now the color picker has two parts. On the right hand side here you have a slider that changes the hue of the colors, so you can select the greens, yellows, and down to reds, and you've got blues and things like that. Now if you want to change the saturation, you move from left to right. So a very desaturated sort of purple would be on the very left hand side. If you want to change the brightness of the color, you move up and down. So right now I want to have like a nice normal sort of grass green. So I'm going to move the slider down to green, and I'm going to click inside the box here to select a nice green color. Not too dark, not too desaturated. Perfect. Great, so now that I've got my color selected, I click OK, and I'm ready to use my custom brush. To use a custom brush, I need to select it first. So I'm going to right click to bring up the dialog box again. And I'm just going to move down, and you'll be able to see that there's already a lot of the brushes available. You can add more brushes by clicking on this tiny little arrow on the right hand side, and you can add a lot more here. So all I need to do now is I'm going to select 134 from the list here. Now 134 is just grass. The numbers actually correspond to the size. So if I just click away from the dialog box, and then you'll see very quickly what happens if I click and hold and create my grass effect. And this is just one of many of the custom brushes that you can use. Custom brushes can be a lot of fun, and they can also really lift your design. Especially if you're going for things like a grunge effect, you can download some really nice brushes to really lift your design. So let's look at them in a little bit more detail. I'd like you to just go to File and New, and the preset that we're going to use is Web again. So use Preset and select Web, and then the size should be 1024 by 768. It's a nice size to play with, not too big, not too small. Click OK, and you should have a nice blank canvas. Great. I'm just going to right click again, and I'm going to select one of the different ones here, maybe number 29. Now number 29 is a star, so I'm just going to click away. Again, I'm making sure I've got my brush tool, and I've still got black and green as my foreground and background colors. If you've got something different, that's fine. So again, I'm just going to click, and you can see a nice sort of effect using these stars, and that's just one of them. Now let's add some more. So I'm going to go right click again to bring up the paintbrush dialog box, and I'm going to go to the top right hand corner to select more. Now let's try maybe one of the special effect brushes. So I'm going to click on there, and it will ask me if I want to replace them or append them. I normally choose append. So click append, and then if I move down, I've got these wonderful special effect brushes down at the bottom. The one I'm going to choose is maybe the duck. So I'm going to choose the duck, and I think I'll change my color as well to maybe a nice yellow color. Click OK, and then I can make a few ducks. Very easy and good fun. Let's try another one. Okay, I'm going to choose the rose this time. I'm going to choose a red color. Click OK, and we're going to have some nice colors. And you can actually see that this brush effects changes the color as well, and you'll find that some of the brushes behave in different ways and they're set up in different ways. So let's look at sort of downloading some other brushes that you can find on the web. Now to install more custom brushes, you can go to our resources website, which is my.webcoursesbangkok.com. Now once you're there, look for the Photoshop category. Just click on that. Click on the free Photoshop brushes and you'll go to the post containing a list of 5 websites where you can download a lot of Photoshop brushes. Now if I just move down, I'm going to click on the very first one here called F-brushes. Now F-brushes has got some really nice ones and they update them quite regularly, and you can see here at the moment they have over 6,000 types of brushes, so a lot to choose from. The one I'm going to choose is called Melancholy Brushes. So just click on download like that and it'll bring up a choice of where you want to save it. I'm going to save it in my downloads folder. You can save it on your desktop or wherever you prefer. Now once it's downloaded, go to that directory and you can unzip the file that it's giving you. And here it is. So you'll have something like brushname.zip. Now if I uncompress that, I just have to right click and I can do extract if I'm in Windows, and for Mac users you can do uncompress. So just right click on the zip file that you've downloaded and you can unzip it. Click extract and we're done. Now this one's nice because it actually gives you some examples of what you get when you use the brushes. So look for the PNG files and those will be some examples. You might have a raw file that contains some more examples, but the one we're looking for is the melancholy.abr, and that stands for automatic brush. To install the new brushes, all you need to do is double click on the brush name. Now if you look down, you'll be able to see all the brushes that we've installed now, and you can see a big list of them at the bottom. Now just before we use them, let's create a new canvas. So we're going to go to File and New, and again Web 1024 by 768 and click OK. Now the color you choose is up to you, but the brush that we want to use is one of the new custom ones. To select them, right click, bring up the dialog box, and then just choose one of the brushes. Click, and there you go. So this is one of the splatter brushes. If I right click again, I can choose another one, and you can carry on using the brushes until you really lift your design. You can download lots and lots more custom brushes, but I do advise you only downloading the ones that you need, because otherwise your dialog box here will get really full very quickly. So that's everything for the paintbrush tool, and we've also looked at installing some custom brushes that you can use to really improve your designs and save a lot of time. Next in the course we're going to be looking at layers, which are a very important part of Photoshop. If you want any more information on our courses or these screencasts, you can go to www.webcoursesbangkok.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.